You're listening to Bold Hearts, Big Moves, the show for female entrepreneurs who want it all: a thriving business, deep self love, and fulfilling relationships. I'm Erin Anderson, and each week we will dive into how to set stronger boundaries, make empowered choices, and show up in life and business with boldness, authenticity, and heart. Because let's be real, the money you make is directly related to the love that you have for yourself and the strength of your relationships. So if you're ready to lead with love and make those big moves with those bold hearts, let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to Bold Hearts, Big Moves. This is the podcast where the female entrepreneur can come and get advice on how to create a better life, better relationships, and fulfill what she wants in her business. And today with us, we have Dr. Neja Zupan. And I've really enjoyed getting to know Neja quite a bit because she's a mentor in multi-dimensional leadership and radiant vitality. She specializes in multi-intelligence activation, a founder of the Mastering Energy Academy, and she's actually just living proof that the full spectrum success is not only possible, but inevitable if you align with your true frequency. And this is something I've been telling you guys for a long time. This is why boundaries are important. This is why your mentality is important. It all comes down to aligning with who you truly are. And some really cool facts about Neja is, just a couple of years ago, she was actually given a 5% chance of survival after being diagnosed with a really, really aggressive hormone dependent cancer. And it's something that, was in her DNA. It was something that many of her ancestors and her mother actually, I think, even passed away from. But she didn't choose chemotherapy. She didn't have radiation, no pharmaceuticals. She went to the root cause, which was her energy. And now she's completely cancer free. Um, she's alive. She's very radiant. You're gonna get to know her and how awesome she really is in just a second. But because she aligned with that energy, she healed that. She kind of got curious and she's like, huh, I wonder what else is possible. And now she's running a very successful business because she aligned with her energy and with who she truly is, because that is the energy of receiving. And so, without further ado, let's invite Neja to the podcast. Neja, I'm so happy you're here.
Hey to everyone here on this amazing podcast. Erin, thank you for inviting me to having me here on this podcast. Before we talked already twice a little, and we really started to resonate
Yes.
very strongly. So this was a huge, at least for me, a huge attraction moment.
Oh, thank you. It's a big attraction moment for me too. Like I love seeing like I the guests I get to interview are really amazing. Like hearing their stories and their successes and like seeing how they shift and grow and change and what comes their way because of it. It's been a really it's been such a blessing for me too. And your story and your successes are just amazing. Absolutely. Right? And, the mindsets of, being who we are, like I don't think we really, really get that. Like, I don't think that we are able to anchor into that. And I think especially as women, because there's so much out there saying that women need to be this or women need to be that, or we have to be, and there's such a stigma around, well, but what a woman is now, that I think a lot of times women, and especially even women entrepreneurs, tend to kind of lose themselves. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. That's what I experienced. You know, I will tell you one story happened, let's say, about 1, 2 months back. I was in contact with one podcaster, and she said that I'm unfortunately too advanced for her target audience. What I completely understand, not everyone is as advanced as, for example, you are.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And then she said, okay, if you figure out how you can lower yourself and lower your standards to accommodate needs of my audience.
What?
And I said, you know, that was my pattern in the past. I submit myself, I lowered myself in order to fulfill needs of others. This is very much the story of women. And I
Mm-hmm.
followed rules of others. I followed everything what they said because I was, let's say, a woman. And what brought this type of behavior, this type of mindset to me was an illness. Not just that I got cancer, all my female ancestors got cancer, and all my female ancestors passed away for cancer. I was just the the next one in the row because they all were behaving in the same way. I was the
Mm-hmm.
first one saying, stop. No, there are my rules. And then I said to this podcaster, if in some future you find that you would need my knowledge, you raise your standards, I'm here to support you. So
Oh, wow.
I really stand now for everything what I went through, and it was um, challenging process. It was,
Yes.
but cancer was one of the biggest, I would say, teachers. Not like how to get healthier, but how to dismantle all the inherited trauma, how to um, end survival coding, and how to rebuild myself, my identity, who I truly was. And that's
Yeah.
why, because I did all of this, yeah, I'm here really conducting internationally successful business
Mm-hmm.
because I was able to really start to vibrate with my primer, with my inner essence energy frequency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I okay. Wow, there's a lot to unpack there because here's the thing, like we're not like I'm definitely not here to like throw the other person under the bus, but yeah, we are not meant to shrink. And it like anybody that expects us, like this is a really good example of somebody expecting some like us to shrink down and not be as vibrant or as bright. And it's okay. Like if we're not aligning with that audience, like cool, we don't align, right? But I'll tell you, and this isn't like to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I paused. I have another podcast that's still really successful, and I haven't done an episode on that for, at this point, at least a year. I'm actually going to open it back up and start again with a bit of a different energy, to be honest with you, because I really want the women to heal from that other podcast. But when I started realizing like the people that were making like getting phone calls with me and wanting my time, a lot of these women were in a space where they couldn't accept help yet. or at least not the kind of help that I was giving them. And so instead of expecting myself to shrink down or expecting my guests to shrink down or anything like that, that was a sign that I needed up level. And so Bold Hearts Big Moves was created, right? And this is the thing that I really want to point out here. It was the shift in I love what you're saying. No, I was there. Like the shrinking. I did the shrinking, and what ended up happening is I got smaller and my problem got bigger, right? And when we shrink from our problems instead of outgrow them, it becomes a big cancer. It becomes a bad issue, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what was with me. And I know from my clients' experiences, it's just the same what you said. If we shrink, if we accommodate wishes, needs of others without our uh, inner energy consent, yeah, might be consent of our mind thinking what we have been taught in the childhood, but not from our energy perspective, then we got bigger problems.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we absolutely do. Okay, I'm going to tell you something because I've been teaching this for a long time. Let's not shrink. Let's set those boundaries. And when I talk about boundaries, I'm talking about like really stepping into the fullness of who you are, right? Understanding your yeses, understanding your nos, and being in tune enough to know when those are coming up, right? And it's really interesting because just a couple of days ago, I broke that for myself, right? Because so we're not all perfect. Sometimes we still, fall, even though we've been talking about this, right? Um, but I ended up uh missing out on something that I really, really wanted to do because I said yes to something that was actually way more of a no, right? And I got thinking about this, and I'm like, well, you knew better, but what are you learning about not listening to yourself, right? There's some reason why I felt the need to ignore what was a no and make it a yes, right? There was some reason why my people pleasing tendency came up. And in all honesty, like we have to be very, very careful because if we worry about what someone else thinks more than what really is aligned for us, this is what shrinking is.
Yes, I completely agree. Yes, what others think that we should be, and then we shrink to accommodate those needs or those mental framework.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was raised, in household where a woman was less than a man, and also my mother had a lot of psychological issues, and I was not allowed to say anything because I was always accommodating her needs of well-being. So I kept myself silent, no, not saying anything. Even laughter was for me forbidden, because
Oh, wow.
I would disturb her in her like peace because she was not so happy person.
Mm,
Yes, what happened in her childhood was beyond beyond imaginable. Being raped several years by older brother.
my goodness.
That is really tough. But you know, um, that because she at that time, she didn't know how to work on that. Now we have many tools, we have methods, we have, everything, podcasts, everything, tools, how to help ourselves. But
Yes.
at that time, let's say 50 years back, 60 years back, nobody, not nobody, but few people just knew how to work on this.
Right.
And instead of releasing this on a healthy way, she was releasing this on myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was absorbing everything, keeping me silent, that I will not cause any disturbance in the family, and this was tough. I was
Yeah.
learning. I was actually unlearning and learning new things for many decades. But I see um, w- with my clients, when I manage to unlearn things, with them goes this much quicker because now I know the path.
Yeah.
And I just orient them. This is okay. This is not very good, and maybe try this and get experience out of this.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's true. It really is true. I mean, we have this is really interesting that you're talking about this, like now that we know the path and we're taking clients along the path, we're giving them the guide and the tour, right? It's really interesting that, we have so many tools that are about now. We have so many different ways to heal, but yet we're in one of the times where we struggle the most with mental health. We struggle the most with money. We struggle the most with our relationships. We are in a time of struggle, even though there's so many tools of abundance at our fingertips. It's very interesting to me. And I don't say that to like be a Debbie Downer or anything like that, but I think it actually kind of brings us into kind of what we were talking about here. And it's that healing energy, right? Like getting into the frequencies of your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, and your physical energies and being unapologetic because I think what I'm seeing, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is a pattern of people pleasing and hating it.
um, what you said before, there are so many tools, but people uh, noticing, or we are noticing that struggles are rising. What I what from my perspective, actually, that people are more and more aware actually of their struggles. Also in the past, what I perceived, they had these struggles, but
Mhm.
now the frequency of entire world, of entire planet is rising, so we are more and more aware of what is going on. And what I also see, that people are getting or are reaching out for these tools more and more.
Mhm.
So um, we are becoming um, the population that is becoming aware of everything, which our parents or parents of our parents were not aware of all the things that were happening in our lives.
Yeah. And and I think you're right to to quite a bit of a degree too, but I still see a lot of like the struggle and stuff.
Yes, yes, a
Yeah,
lot, a
absolutely.
lot,
Absolutely. But
a
people
lot.
are reaching out for those tools,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know? They are. And I think it's very interesting, like you were saying with your mom and stuff, that the things that we have available to us today are just weren't there then, you know? But I also believe that, as a Christian, I think that, there's a lot of enemies out there that wanna keep us in the dark. Because if we really, really do shine as brightly as we possibly can, like, whoa, the possibilities that are endless to us. Like they are so endless. But at the same time, like we have the ego, we have the adversary. Some might say they're one and the same. I say they're a little different, you know. And the thing is the best way that I can possibly think of to, and this is kind of what we're getting into, the best way I can think of to get out of the mindset that things are against us is to be first and foremost for us, you know? Be for ourselves. Be like, and this is the other thing too I want to say, like, this is not selfish. This is not narcissistic. When you love yourself, that is not narcissistic. This is not selfish because the thing is when you truly love yourself, you are aware of your faults. You acknowledge them and you love them and accept them to the point that you change them. This is why self-love is different, right? Someone who is out of self-love who might have like the appearance of confidence or heaven forbid somebody who is narcissistic, right? There's somebody who's actually rejecting all parts of themselves. They're only accepting like the mask. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. I completely agree with what you said. Out there are more things that um, mislead us than
Yeah.
guide us towards uh, evolution of our spirit, our soul, our heart, our personal development, much more. So, like rule of the thumb, what I suggest to my clients, if something feels good, go the opposite way.
Oh.
Because we are used to certain emotions, certain behaviors, certain the results, and if we keep getting just in this direction, we are staying in the comfort zone. So if you want to go out to into becoming better version of yourself, sometimes it's good to go out of this comfort zone. That was for me a very, very good example was cancer. I did many things out of my comfort zone.
Hmm.
For example, going into cold bath. Yeah, I was freezing, but I said no. I knew because I studied everything and I knew that um, cold bath is anti-inflammatory process. So no way that my mind could convince me that I don't go, even though my body was freezing. I was shaking. And
Hmm.
I said, no, I go inside. And this tremendous power came out because I was able to outgrow my old way of thinking. No, this is cold for me. No, this is too dangerous for me. No, this is too this, and this is too little this, and this is too much this. So I started to experience things.
Hmm.
And after I experienced, then I gave my mind the right to evaluate whether this was good or was it not good. But it was also not with me in this process. Was, for example, I said this with cold bath. I went in, and not just once. I said to my mind was constantly complaining, 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 complaining. No, no, not now. It's too cold, and outside is too cold, and many, many excuses not to do it. But I said, no, I go in the cold tub just because I want to have an experience. And after certain period of time, I noticed that actually my brain functioned much better. And then I said to to my mind, I said, you see, you see, it's better. And now, even though it's cold, my mind doesn't complicate, doesn't reject, doesn't prevent, doesn't
Hmm.
even speak. No, today not. No, I have decided. We go.
Yes. And this is the thing that you're bringing up, and this is, I think, the pathway to success, right? And that is you're talking about your comfort zone. I call them lazy zones, and we're all guilty of them. Like if we call it like what it is, it makes the comfort zone way more uncomfortable, right? And it is to me like every single time I've noticed myself in my comfort zone, I'm in a lazy zone. Right? Like, oh, I don't want to do that, or oh, I don't want to do that, or oh, I don't want to do that. I just want to sit here, right? And so really to me it's more of a lazy zone. And I'm not saying like anybody that's dealing with something really hard, you're lazy. I'm not saying anything like that. It's more like if we really look at what we're saying, if we just stop for a second and we listen to ourselves, it is this the vocabulary? Are you speaking or thinking the vocabulary of someone who actually is achieving what you say you want, right? And if not, why? Is there just a teensy bit of laziness in there, right? And so for me, and I'm guilty of this too, by the way, guys. So like no hypocrite, like I'm trying not to be a hypocrite here, promise. But when we start doing what we say we're going to do, and we start looking at what that looks like, and we start asking the right questions, and we start getting into the right frequency because we're doing what we said we're going to do, right? That's when we start accepting love. When we're in the lazy zone, we think somehow love is too much of a cost, too much of a burden. But in reality, that's not the case, right? When you get into really accepting the flow of love, you do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, I completely agree. What you said, you do. And for me, was the contrary. Going out from the comfort zone was meant for me to stop working, to resting, because from my childhood I was used to constantly work, as I said, to really satisfy needs of my parents, mostly of my mother, because my father, because of this situation, he was very absent from our family. He was outside on sports and doing many other things. So I was taking on the role of like being an adult in
Yeah.
the family. So for me, going out of the comfort zone was just sit down and observe what others are doing. So going out from a comfort zone really means something that you are not used to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, something that you it's like difficult for you to do.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, as you said, yes, getting up and doing things, and from some of us, sitting down and observing what others are doing. And for example, for me, it was also very difficult now I already have 5 coworkers, so I'm growing in that direction. You know, I was not able to delegate things. I just prefer to do everything on my own until, you know, my head was so hot that I said, no, no, I cannot do it anymore. And now, I deliver their tasks and when this needs to be done.
Mm,
This was also out of my comfort zone because uh, in my childhood, mother was demanding from me, not just demanding, she went silent if I was not obeying her thoughts, not words, thoughts.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah, I do. I actually totally do. I talk about this too, like how communication isn't just what we say, it's our actions and our energy too,
Yeah,
right? And honestly, when you deal with something like that, you're somebody who can read the room really, really easily because you had to learn how to do it at a young age. You had to learn how to read the room so that way you could tell if you were safe, it was safe to say something, if it was safe to be, if it was safe to exist, right? Like, I so get this. I totally get this. That's not a bad thing that we learned and we took on that gift, right? Because now, reading the room really helps, I think, for me, especially in my business, right? But the thing that I think we want to be really careful of in and like with ourselves is again like going back to this whole idea of doing what we say we're going to do,
yes,
right? It really does. And realizing that that means that your words, your actions, and your energy have
are
to
synchronized.
align. Yes, they have to align. Because if you take a look at somebody and, to you, my listeners, you might have somebody in your life that is struggling with that communication where you might be feeling frustrated with them, whether it's your husband, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your business partner. There might be some sort of a disruption in the energy or the communication in the relationship that will eventually come down the pipeline into your business or into whatever it is you are trying to
Exactly.
create, right?
Yes.
It does eventually come down the pipeline. And so we have to be willing to do something different in order for us to be able to keep the pipeline open.
Yes, so well said, and I remembered, I think was Jesus's words, in mind, in heart, and no, in mind, in words, and in
Deed.
deeds. Yes.
Yes.
So this needs to be everything the same. Then we are aligned.
Mm-hmm.
If we
Mm-hmm.
are talking, speaking something, and doing something else, energy is lost.
Yes. And so, like, let me say this. I just have to say this, okay? So I want to hear your thoughts on this subject too, because this is just something I see, I think, especially in the female entrepreneur community, and this is something that I want to address. And that is this need to be a certain picture and to present yourself a certain way, but beyond that, you like there's this perfect individual. They don't need any help. They've already got things figured out. But really behind the scenes, if somebody were to actually open the curtains and see what's behind that stage, they would see the struggles, right? And the thing that I love about a really, really authentic entrepreneur is they don't hide the struggle, right? They talk about their struggle. They talk about where they've been and what they've been through and why they're where they're at now. That's all a part of our journey. That's all a part of what makes us who we are, and it makes us relatable. And when people can be relatable to you, like don't hide the pain. Don't Like, don't throw it on people, obviously, but like when we get to talk about like the things that we have been through in a very authentic way, right? Well, what do we do to ourselves? What do we start to do to our own psyche? We start looking at like where we've been and the things that we have been through and then what we've changed, right? And have now all of a sudden a really authentic love and appreciation for ourselves because we just did something really hard. Look at how cool we are. And that is the seed you want to plant for success in your business. And this is what you're talking about here too, right? Like you came from a really difficult background. You came from really difficult relationships, and it created a difficulty in the relationship with yourself. You know, I would even bet at some point that there was a difficulty in the relationship with money, right? I would bet that with my bottom dollar, right? Because I see it so often. But now all of a sudden, here you are, you've changed things with your your mind, your body, your spirit, and you like there's no this is the coolest thing too. Like you're talking about your mom and how there's such a disruption, but there's not an ounce of malice or anger in what you say, right?
Because yeah, she was my biggest teacher actually.
Yes.
I'm so happy that I went through, and usually she is my prayers, because without her pressure, I wouldn't be here where I am today.
Yeah.
Of course, also because of myself, because I wanted to go out of this comfort zone that I was taught into, but also she was causing this pressure. And I usually tell to my clients, the brightest diamond is made under the most strong pressure.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so that's it. And every one of you, if you are experiencing a lot of pressure, whatever area of your life, that just means that you are about to make diamonds.
Yeah. Well, not just any type of diamond too. Like, I love this analogy. Oh my gosh, you and I are so similar. Stories, everything. Like, I haven't had cancer, but there are other things that I'm dealing with right now and working on like my health and like my psyche and things like that. Like, it matters. But I talk about this analogy too with the diamonds. And, if you look at like how a diamond is created, there's time, there's heat, there's lots of pressure. And then after you take that piece of coal and it becomes a diamond, then there's cutting. They have to make certain cuts to create that diamond and make it the valuable piece that it is, right? Or the unique piece that it is. No two diamonds actually are cut the same. They might look the same, but they're not cut the same. And so this is the thing, like we have infinite value. Sometimes it takes time, sometimes it takes the pressure, sometimes it takes the polish. Sometimes we think we're that lump of
Fire.
coal, fire,
Yeah. A
right?
lot of fire, yeah.
And then once we're like, oh, I'm a diamond, and all of a sudden, here comes the cutting, right?
Yeah.
Cutting off those pieces of us that don't belong anymore,
So
right?
whenever I was in a situation that I felt really, really like bad or heavy or stressed, I just sit down and calmly breathe, meditate, and always it comes out, oh, Naya, another layer of diamond.
Right? Same here. It's same here. So same here. And what a beautiful thing to be able to have these layers come up and come out and see like a new piece of us and this new what we're going to be, what we're going to choose, and how we're going to choose ourselves. Because the thing is if you truly are a people pleaser, the best way you can ever please someone in your life is by giving yourself exactly what you need first, always and forever, right? Because I get what you're saying too with like your mom and stuff. My relationship with my mom is better than it's ever been because I stood where I needed to stand and I didn't allow her to push me, right? And I still look at like myself and like I'm like, okay, this is where I want to be. What relationship is showing me what's stopping me, right? This is why relationships really are key to success. They show us exactly where we're struggling and how that relationship is affecting the way that we respond to ourselves, right? Or how we are showing up for ourselves. Because we don't have to please someone else. They get, like other people get to learn how to make themselves happy. I love serving people. I love being there for people. I love doing podcasts. I love helping uplift them. But in the end, whether it's my family, my kids, and my kids are crazy important to me. My clients also crazy important to me. Colleagues, everybody, like all of my relationships are crazy important to me. But in the end, they are the ones that are ultimately responsible for their happiness
For themselves.
for
Yes.
themselves. Yes. And that's exactly where it should be.
Yeah.
And so if somebody's going to be upset with you because you are trying to make the best decision for you, that's something they get to explore.
Yeah, sometimes they are not um, capable of doing this, but still we need to stand up for ourselves.
Yes.
That's a really very good saying in Slovenian language. Um, if I will
Try to put this
inter
English.
no, yeah, put in English, but like interpretation,
Yeah.
if the army cannot take it, if you don't have for the army, you cannot have for yourself. So that means if you don't have, for example, bread, you cannot give it to army if you don't
Hmm.
have it. And if you
It's
don't
true.
have like home, you cannot offer your home for somebody else. But this the same means for ourselves. If we don't have like love and bread for ourselves, bread, I don't mean this like literally, but bread like nurture ourselves. How can we nurture others? We can't. And what I observe with so many women, they say, yeah, I have children, I have husband, I have my parents, I have community, I have um, mm, things at work to do. I don't have time for myself. Uh?
What?
Yeah, what?
No.
Yeah,
No, no,
what?
no. Right?
What? If you don't have for yourself, what you're giving to others? For example, when my daughter was about 3, 4 years old, um, my mother already passed away for several years, and so my father retired, and I asked him quite a few times if he can take a look on her. And once he said, you know, you're always going somewhere to the workshop or to the um, to some lecture, or I don't know, to walk for a walk on your own. What mother you are? And then I said, okay, now
I've
tell
had
me,
those. Yeah.
tell me which type of mother you want for your granddaughter. One that is happy, enthusiastic, playful, calm, finds solutions, or sad, depressed, um,
Stressed out.
stressed out. Which one? Of course, he
Yeah.
selected this one. And I said to him, look, if I go out for a walk on myself for 1 hour or 2 hours. Then I come back full of energy, full of enthusiasm, full of laughter, full of, being really free. And I can give this to my daughter.
Yeah.
And if I stay at home, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm dissatisfied, I'm nervous, all these things. And I give this to her. So your choice is only whether you want to take care of her or you don't want to take care of her. So if you don't want to take care of her, I will ask somebody else because I want to give to her the best of me.
Yes.
And from that time on, it was end of a discussion. End of discussion what mother you are. I'm very good mother because I want to give to my child very best version of myself, not this one,
Exactly.
yeah, overworked or the stressed and depressed. And
Yep. You have to be able to put things into yourself if you are going to give anything out, right?
yeah,
You cannot kill the goose that lays the golden egg and hope to get more golden eggs. Like you don't do that, right? And this is the thing that that is so key to success. And and I'll be honest, like I'm relearning this again, because I think sometimes we need a little reminder, right? Because life can go so fast. And sometimes we're the ones that get sucked into the vacuum and we're like, wait, hold on a second. I know how to get out of this, right? And it is through self-love. It is through keeping your word to yourself,
yeah,
right? Making sure you have time for yourself, making sure that you are loving yourself well. And that's when you healed your cancer. That's when I hit six figures, right? And what I'm learning now is because I say I want a consistent six, seven figure business, right?
yeah, I'm going there
I
already.
am too. I am too,
Yeah,
right?
very good.
Right. Yes, yes,
With
I
good
am
steps.
too.
Tick, 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 tick,
Yes.
tick, tick.
And it's all a self-love practice. It's a consistency in how you love yourself well.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. I love it. Naya, where can people find you?
Um, the best way is through my free gift,
Okay.
high frequency energyformula.com. I purposely gave English name. So high frequency energyformula.com. So under this name, this um, website, you can find a free gift, 7 steps, energetic alignment in action. So, how you align yourself every single day to your highest version. So, there are 7 steps, seven um, different practices, how to really become in the morning already the best version, and you throughout the day you just radiate what you did in the morning, how you aligned yourself in the to the your highest potential. So this This website actually guides to my website, that is nejazupan.com, nejazupan.com. So there are information also about me and what I do.
I love it. I love it. Guys, go check out Naya. And until next time, we'll see you soon, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Boundary Boss babes. I'm super excited that you tuned in with me today. Make sure you tune in again next week as we chat about more Boundary Boss babe topics. We're going to get into so many other things about how to set boundaries with your business, how to set boundaries with your relationships, so you can truly have the time, the money, and the flexibility that you are seeking. So tune in next week. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Let your other boss babe friends know about it. And also, if you've got any questions, make sure you submit them into the podcast by clicking on the send us a text message at the bottom of the podcast description. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. See you later, boss babes.